Hello, everybody. I've seen a lot of people asking about temp towers lately, how to do them. I know there's a bunch of videos out there, but I figured I would do this and then have it easily accessible for answers to questions and stuff like that. So I'm using Cura. I'm kind of sticking with 4.5 right now. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of the same, no matter kind of where you go with it. So basically, you want to get the tower, and I'll throw a link in the description. We're going to use the heat tower here with the bridge. Um, and then as you can see, we're going from 240 all the way up to 190. And this is a 5 millimeter step. So the first thing you want to do is go to extensions, post-processing, and modify G-code. So when you have this, the first thing you're going to do is add a script, and you're going to change at Z. It says experimental. I've done it 1,000 times. There's tons of YouTube videos. It works. So essentially what it's saying, the trigger, right? So at 5 millimeter trigger height, essentially, I'm going to change the value. So you want to start your print at 240. And then at the 5 millimeter mark, you're going to change the temperature, right? So, and this is provided you're not doing a brim or a raft. So you're going to go down to extruder temp 1, and you're going to change that to the next value, which is 235. Add another script, change at Z. This one is going to be at 10. Now you're going to change this one to 230. And you continue doing this until you've hit all of your temperatures. Oh. So I would recommend every time you get a new filament to do this. It will tell you what your strengths are, or I mean what temperature it's the strongest at from a bridging perspective, and you can just kind of see how it melts and melds together with the layers. I forget what the hell that was. So obviously just rinse and repeat. Add 5 here at every time. Add 5, or depending on what temp tower you're doing, add 5 here, or I'm sorry, minus 5 here every time. So we're gonna go 30, and this I believe is 210. I'll go back and verify. It should be 205. 40. What did I say? 200. Now there are other ones for PLA. I'm sorry, for ABS and PETG. If you just search on Thingiverse, you can find them. Now, what I will say is a lot of times you're going to have some that show up with their own G code. I typically kind of run through. I figure out where the step is for the temperature change and do it myself. It's kind of like somebody giving you a profile for Cura. It's not necessarily set to your stuff, so there may be a variable in there that they didn't account for, or that you have, i.e. you're always print with a brim. So, there's X amount of millimeters, depending on how you set it, that aren't accounted for. So, for example, you may start 235, essentially a layer or two or 2 millimeters below where you're supposed to, and things like that. So, entirely up to you. And then there are other ones that you have to read the description, but it'll tell you what the different steps are. One of the things I would recommend is kind of getting good at reading the G code, understanding your commands. I may put something together for some of the basic commands. You can actually go in and add to Cura. If you go into Ponterface, sorry, you can actually type in stuff over here. It uses the same baud rate, the same COM port as Cura, so you can't have Cura connected to your computer. If you're running Octoprint, you actually can do both, but if you're running Octoprint, you can put your G code in Octoprint and it'll execute. But I may do that in another video just so you guys, some of the newer guys that haven't been around too long, kind of understand the G code and what's happening, and kind of how to manipulate things. Okay, so we're back here. I'm just going to run through. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Oh, I screwed that up. 35, 40, 45. That's why I did miss one. Okay, so make sure, just review it, make sure. Obviously, if I would have ran that, I would be like, hey, 190 looks really cool. And it ends up not really being 190, or 195, and it ends up not being 195. So close that. Now what you're going to see down here is an automatic execute to bring this back up. If you don't close out Cura, and actually I believe if you do, this may still be there. So basically what you have to do is go back and delete all these. But at that point you're good, you're sliced, go. I would also recommend watching the temperature depending on what you have hooked up, either Cura or Octoprint, or even just the Ender LCD. And make sure that the temperature does change. And then you should end up getting a good idea of where you should be printing that specific material. All right, guys, check in next time for the G-code noob tutorial.